On December 7, 1941, the Japanese surprised the world by bombing the United States naval base of Pearl Harbor.
Even as Japanese diplomats were conferring with Secretary of State Hull on peace measures, Nipponese planes were swooping down on Pearl Harbor. 100 Japanese planes and a number of midget submarines took part in the attack. In an hour and 5 minutes, the battleship Arizona was completely destroyed and 4 others severely damaged. 3 other battleships and 3 cruisers suffered lesser damage. Nearly 200 planes were destroyed. In that Sunday morning inferno, the Pacific Fleet appeared to be completely immobilized by the sneak attack. Nearly 3,000 casualties added to the catastrophe. Within hours, the United States declared war.
Even though the bombing felt like a victory for the Japanese, it united the American people like never before. Also, the Japanese were unsuccessful in destroying any of the United States aircraft carriers, the center of the American Navy's power. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan, and 4 days later they declared war on their allies, the Germans. And now, a reading of an eyewitness account.
On December 7th, 1941, I was a junior officer of the boiler division of the battleship Oklahoma. Following a late night duty, I'd gone to sleep around 4 a.m. And that Sunday morning, less than 3 hours later, the sound of a voice on the ship's loudspeaker, unmistakably different from the usual announcements, brought me quickly awake. Air raid! Air raid! This is a real attack. Real planes, real bombs. Followed by an obscenity crackled from this loudspeaker. Wearing only a pajama trouser, I raced for my battle station in the boiler room, as the big ship leaped under my feet from explosions of torpedoes hitting deep in the hull. There were no lights. There was no chance of starting the engines. An order to abandon ship was passed along by voice as the ship began to list steeply. I attempted to get to a compartment with large portholes to which I might escape when the veteran ship turned turtle and I was propelled into the medical dispensary, its tiled floor now the sloping ceiling. I found myself with 4 other men in the dispensary with a small pocket of air trapped above the water, our only source for life. With my feet I found a porthole below the water. I was able to duck down and turn the knobs in the port by hand. It was an 11-inch porthole. The first 2 men got out quickly. One was hesitant, and I pushed his head and he pulled himself out. The ship's carpenter, Mr. Austin, a large man weighing over 200 pounds, knew he'd never make it through the porthole. He reached down and held the porthole open for me. I tried to take a deep breath, but oxygen supply was about gone. As I went out, I scraped my hips, squeezing through. I think that's where I lost my pajamas. Mr. Austin couldn't get out. His act was the most noble act I'd ever seen a man do, knowing full well that his minutes were few. I swam 15 to 20 feet to the oil-covered surface of the harbor, then I swam to the ropes hanging from the ship's bottom that was still above the water. Burning oil nearly sent pillars of smoke skyward. There was deadly silence over the harbor, interspersed with violent explosions and bursts of gunfire. As far as I can tell, I was the last man to escape from the ship without help. Cutting torches were used to try to free some of those trapped. I got away with nothing but my skin.
This is only one of the many stories to be told of Pearl Harbor, a tragedy that changed the world.